Hey, what's up, man? For the people out there who don't know, I'm from Chicago, and I've been arrested twice for something that I didn't do. I don't have a record, but unfortunately, the way the law enforcement seems out here is that they kind of want to get your information on paper in the computers for whatever reason. Guess just to keep tabs on you. First time that I've ever been arrested was at Gamestop with my homeboy at the time. He wanted to buy Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And in order to buy that game, because of the rating, you had to be 18 years or older. Of course, he was 17, and I was over 18 at the time, so I was old enough to buy it. Of course, he didn't want to call his mother and get her to come up there and whatever, so he just kind of asked me to do it. We walked from the library to GameStop, and at the time, I had on a hoodie, because in Chicago, it's all about how you look, right? People judge you based on the way you dress, how you carry yourself, etc. So I had on, I think, a gray hoodie with a black t-shirt over it and some blue jeans. We walked to GameStop, and before I go in there, there's a Chinese restaurant like a couple of stores from there. So I go in there first and order me a vegetable egg roll. The lady gave me my ticket, and I left to go back to GameStop. My homeboy, he was already there. The moment I walk in there, like, the people in there didn't know that I was with my homeboy, who was now at the counter talking with the people about like buying the game or whatever. And I saw a Guitar Hero game like next to the door, so I decided to go over to the Guitar Hero game and start playing it. And I noticed at the moment I walked into the store, there was like a young boy and what looked like his mother and who seemed like the manager talking. And the moment I walk in, they take notice to me and they just talking back and forth, right? I'm just there trying to work the Guitar Hero game and I can't work it, so I said forget it. And my homeboy called me over to actually buy the game. By this time, the lady went in the back to get the game. So she, they go back there, get the game, come back to the counter, and he said, hey, okay, show your ID. So I showed my ID. Now, out the corner of my eye, I could see what looks like a detective car pull up. I saw like the bubble Caprice, and it just looked like a cop car to me. Didn't think twice about it. While I'm pulling out my state ID to show the GameStop clerk, I hear the bells ring indicating that someone is entering the door. Didn't think nothing of it. I noticed out the corner of my eye because by this time, the boy, his mother, and the GameStop manager is still like looking at me and talking. I could still see them talking out the corner of my eye. All of a sudden, I felt somebody grab my arms from behind. I'm like, whoa, and I realized it was the police. And all of a sudden, I get real nervous, and I start passing gas. Just, I don't know why. But I guess when you get nervous, you just start, passing a lot of gas. And that's what I did. It was really embarrassing. And they handcuffed me. They took me outside of GameStop, put me inside the car. And I'm like, dude, like what's going on? So they go back up at GameStop and they come out with a CD and whatever, and they ask me like, hey, you been to the store? I'm like, I don't know, I think I came here a few days ago. These females who worked at the specific GameStop, one of them was real thick. Like, she had a real slim body and she had a real big butt that a lot of dudes used to holler at her on the streets. And I don't know if she developed a hatred for dudes. The other girl who was working with her, she was a dark-skinned girl, just looked normal. The cops proceed to take me to the precinct. We go down the expressway because the GameStop was located right near the expressway. And I'm just nervous. I'm like, okay, they on some BS. Like what is going on? And I don't know, I just started panicking, just saying random stuff. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, so y'all cops, y'all just came back from the Iraq war. Y'all most likely veterans. I don't know why I said that. It was just that I was freaking panicking. They take me to the police station. Now, this is not like a big mainstream police station. It's like a kind of like a secondary satellite police station. It's not even up anymore. It's like gone now. They take me back there and sit me down. Now, by this time, like, I'm looking around. I'm like, wow. And I see a police officer who used to secure my high school there. I saw her in there. I'm like, and she walked past, I'm like, how you doing? I'm still nervous. And she was like, how you doing or whatever. This white police came and he asked me for my name, and I gave him my name. And he started reciting my name, trying to see if my name matched any cases in his files. It didn't match, because of course I ain't doing nothing illegal. These cops proceed to ask me like every question imaginable. And of course, my dumb self gives it to them. They ask me for my social security number, I give it to them. They ask me for my address, I give it to them. They ask me where I worked, I gave it to them. I gave them all the information because I'm thinking like, okay, they got the wrong dude. And if I just talk to them, I'll get let go. And that's the last thing you want to do is talk to the cops about anything, whether you're innocent or if you're guilty. Never talk to the cops about anything. That's one thing I learned because after this situation, I started doing research about how to react or what to do if you get, arrested or pulled over by the cops. So me talking made it worse, and you're about to see how. I look on the wall and I noticed that there's some street corners that I used to go to all the time. And one of the street corners said it was a midget with a cane who's selling drugs over there. You can't make it up. And then the other one was drugs, gambling and drugs. And I was thinking to myself like, wow, what if they made drugs illegal? Then what crime would be going on in my neighborhood? None. There was this one dude who was in another cubicle and I could hear him talking. Apparently he got arrested for selling some weed. And I could see the cops bringing the weed. It was a lot of weed too. Like this bunch of baggies. He apparently selling it. And they waited or whatever. Man, he started snitching his butt off. All I heard was, yeah, man. You see, there was like distinct cars that would ride around the neighborhood, and you would see them once every blue moon. And he was like, yeah, that car with that on the side of it, yeah, just dry snitching. I'm like, man, this dude here. I wanted to see who he was. Like, who was this dude dry snitching, man? It was funny. I saw another cop. I guess he was the main cop. He came over and see what I was arrested for. And I would say about 20 minutes later, he started getting on all the other cops' cases. He was like, yeah, man, we need to get more arrests, this and that, blah, blah, and, just going off on him. I'm like, wow. And then it's interesting because, like, eventually I get released later, and I see those same cops who was up in there just scattered around the neighborhood, messing with random people. I guess get their quotas up or something, I don't know. After questioning me, they called my grandmother to see if I was, because at the time they accused the crime of happening. I was at home watching Real Chance of Love. No BS. I'm watching Real Chance of Love. I'm watching Real Chance of Love and they talking about that. So I found out that the story is the boy was at the bus depot over there waiting for the bus. A dude came and stole his PSP handheld video game. Went to a Gamestop, tried to sell the game for cash. The clerks behind the desk couldn't give him cash, so I guess he just left. And then, when I went in there, they said it was me. Now, I'm going to play the devil's advocate because I've been jumped before. I became a victim of a crime. When you become a victim of a crime, you'll get the person wrong. You'll be like, every little person around there, every person who resemble that person, you get it wrong. That's why the majority of people who claim, they've been raped, and when a person get arrested and they serve all this time, they get exonerated because the perpetrator wasn't the one who did it. Simply because it's the DNA. Normally when a crime happened to you, I don't know. You're willing to blame anybody. Let me put it like that. Standing in the lineup, and there was 4 other dudes in there arrested. They was from the west side. And they was talking about what they was arrested for. All 4 of them got arrested for smoking some weed. They were literally smoking. And the cop was like, this is illegal. Threw them in jail. So they participated in the lineup. And I guess the boy and his mother was behind the window. When I was in jail, I was handcuffed to the bench. They had a camera in the corner. And I was in the cell by myself, just waiting. And I was tweaking out. I'm like, man, I'm up in here for nothing. I ain't do nothing, man. You understand? And I could hear another cop. He was getting on the lady's case about some stolen voice recorders. Like, I guess she allegedly stole some voice recorders, and I could hear them getting on her case about it. Like, it was you. And I'm tweaking. I'm like, man, what am I doing up in here, man? For real. So the cop come in there, because they could see me on the camera tweaking, because I got my arms inside my shirt and whatever. And then they checked down here. He was like, I just want to make sure that you ain't on no BS. Basically saying he want to make sure that I don't have any narcotics or whatever on me. And I'm like, this is some BS, man. When they let me out into the main jail part, they had some freaking bologna sandwiches with white bread and some soda. And at the time, I was on my health kick. I ain't want to eat none of that stuff. I'm like, nah, man, I ain't gonna be in here for long because I ain't do it. You understand? Now, what's funny is that when I went to court for that, believe it or not, all of the cases was thrown out. There was like a bunch of cases for like just misdemeanor BS, man. And 99.9999% of those cases were thrown out. Coincidentally, because this is a majority black, quote unquote, perpetrators up in there. Or alleged perpetrators up in there. Coincidentally, the only person who actually got 6 months of community service was a Hispanic dude. But all the other people was just thrown out. So it just leads me to believe that maybe some of these cops just arrest black people just to do it. I had dressed up. I had went to the Cabrini Green Legal Services, got me a pro bono lawyer and all that. Come to find out, I didn't even have to do all that because, of course, I didn't freaking do it. But anyway, the cop in the jail, he was telling me that the only thing that they wanted back was the PSP. And I'm like, I don't have the PSP because I didn't do it. You understand? And then they started asking me for the name of my friend because they didn't arrest my friend. They only arrested me because I guess the people at Gamestop said that it was me. You know, they asked my friend's name. Of course, I gave them his name, and they pulled up like an old picture where he done got arrested when he was back in like grade school or something. I look closely, like, is that him? And then they snatched it away real quick. I'm like, well, these people was on some funny stuff, man. I spent 14 hours total in jail. I went to another room because I guess they, you know, they looked at the DVD and all this, and they questioned me. And I guess deep down inside, they knew that it wasn't me who did it. So, you know, cops, they play trick games. This cop was like, I know it wasn't you, but if it was you, would you do this? And I was like, well, it wasn't me. He was like, I know it wasn't you, but if it was you, this would have happened. I was like, it wasn't me. He was like, I know, but if it was you, you know, trying to encourage me to repeat after him. You understand? And I was like, you know, if it was me, but it wasn't me. And I realized, like, later on, upon doing research, that right there allowed them to arrest me. Because I said, if I was, you know what I'm saying, what you say out of your mouth can be used against you, whether you know it or not. And they love to target younger people because they know that they ain't really researching the law. You know, I used to tell the story to people living in other states, and they'll be like, oh, man, that's BS, man. That, you know, no, the police aren't like that. The police don't do that. I'm like, dude, this is Chicago. The rules that the cops in your community follow, they don't follow here. What you talking about? They make up their own rules here. And rule is that if somebody call, you're going to get arrested. If you start talking to these people, you know, you might say something that they can arrest you with. And it seems that those police officers who arrested me, oh, they were in court. They were in court. And you know what? They didn't look at me not once. They didn't even look at the people in the stand. They probably arrested other people who was there for their case. And I'm like, okay, so apparently these cops get paid overtime to go to court. So that's probably why they put fake charges on people, because they go to court and they get overtime. They get more money and more money and more money. Spent 14 hours in jail, got out early in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. I called my friend. I told him everything that happened. He was like, man, that's messed up, man. He genuinely just felt bad about it. No, my grandmother. I think I told her what happened, and she thought I did it. I'm like, really, dude? But then when the cops told her that I beat up the dude and took the game, she didn't believe it because she knew that I wouldn't do that. But she thought I had stole the game. I'm like, really, dude? Like, really? You don't trust me like that? I mean, that just annoyed me. That's when I knew that my grandmother don't have my best interest at heart. The Chinese food. The next day, like I told you, I took the bus over there to the area and went back to the area, because of course I ain't do it. And I think the cops told me to stay away from that area, stay out of GameStop. I'm like, dude, I didn't do it. Why am I gonna stay out of GameStop? So I go back to the Chinese place, present the lady with my ticket, and she said, what happened to you yesterday? I said, man, I got arrested. And she fixed my egg roll on the spot and gave it to me. It was funny. A couple of days later, that thick female that I was telling you about earlier, now I had saw her at the bus stop before, prior to that happening. Because she, you know, got a real thick butt. You can't help but not look at her. But this time, you know, I just got a lot of stuff on my mind. I'm sitting on a fire hydrant, waiting on a bus. I'm actually going to the library. I didn't feel like walking 2 blocks. And I don't know, I was just staring, just thinking about some stuff. And I noticed out the corner of my eye that this girl kept on, like, looking at me, like she was worried or something. I'm like, what's this girl looking at, man? For real. What is she looking at? And her energy wasn't like, I want to holler at you, nothing like that. No, it was on some standoffish tip. Now the bus just leave out the depot. This is the same depot where the boy claimed he got robbed or whatever. Bus leave out of the depot. Pull up. No, I get on the bus first. Then she gets on the bus. We the only two people on the bus. Keep in mind, I'm only riding 2 blocks. I go all the way in the back. She sit all the way in the front near the driver. I look and I realize it's the girl from, and she was looking so nervous. She was looking nervous as if I was gonna hurt her or something. This is why, I guess people in the hood don't like to snitch or whatever, because you're gonna eventually see the person, the police ain't gonna protect you or whatever. But it's just interesting that I saw the girl, and I didn't have the maturity at the time to say, hey man, I ain't do it, y'all bogus. If I knew what I knew now, I would have got them fired. I would call Gamestop a bunch of times, got their name, told them y'all better look for some new work on the real, man. Somebody would have answered to that, man. I'm still messed up about it, man. I left a review about that Gamestop that is still up there to this day. And although the store closed, I was mad, man. For real, bro. For real, man. My memory ran out on that camera, but just to conclude that I learned a lot about that day, man, about life, about the way people is, the corruption in Chicago, why crime is so high, because it took those dudes all day to process me. So that lets me know that it don't matter who you are. If you get accused of a crime here in Chicago, the police are going to come and get you. And you're going to stay locked up until they can prove that it wasn't you. They call it guilty until proven innocent. I experienced it. Another thing is, this arrest is still on my record, because when I traveled internationally the first time, the Border Patrol was able to see that arrest, and they asked me, who you beat up? And I'm like, nobody. And although I'm eligible for an expungement, I just never got it. So for the people out there, you got to always watch your back, man. Real talk. And try not to look like a criminal like I was. Of course, you should be able to wear whatever you want, but unfortunately, people are going to judge you based on how you look here. All right. You can check out my new book. It's called How to Stay Safe in Chicago. Information that the travel guides won't teach you. You can learn more about this city and how to stay safe and survive. Thanks for listening. Peace.